Welcome to the Pinfall Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Elizabeth Zink and Mark Mifsud.
Allegedly. I'm gonna run that joke into the ground. Everyone's gonna hate it.
That's fine. I'll find it funny probably for the next at least 2 weeks.
That's all that matters.
So where are we? It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. We are joining.
This Wednesday, we're just talking about Wednesday. No wrestling, just Wednesday. The fact that it is Wednesday.
Today's topic is Wednesday. No, we had today is NXT day. I don't know where I'm going today. Today's episode is about this evening's NXT match, NXT event, NXT Live, I don't know what you want to call it. Ended about 15 minutes ago, and it wasn't last week, that's for sure.
Yeah, and the worst part about last week's was that it was right after TakeOver, so you would think that it wouldn't be as good, but it delivered more than today did.
My personal mentality is that the day after a pay-per-view match is usually when it's like the most exciting, I guess, because like we wrapped up Loose Ties during the pay-per-view and now we're coming back to start new things, and that's usually when it's the most exciting, and that's kind of what we experienced with NXT. It's what we experienced with Backlash. Today was a bit of a downfall, and I think there's a couple reasons why. I think we missed a lot of characters that we normally get to see a lot of, and we didn't.
And a lot of today was just the big names, like the most impressive people. What they were doing today was just setting up for future fights.
Yeah, and at first I thought you were going to say that today was just all big names, but yeah, no, it was like a lot of big names setting up for stuff and a lot of little names actually fighting. So, it is what it is. I want to quickly, before we go into this, I want to give a bit of I think it's nepotism, and a bit of a nepotistic shout out to my 3 pals who followed our Twitter account after I kindly asked them to do so. So a big shout out to Emma, Michelle, and Cass, who all followed it because they care about my dreams. And I care about theirs.
Follow our Twitter too, and you can get a shout out just like that.
I will shout out anyone who follows the thing up until like a point, if we ever actually get to that point.
Make your Twitter handle so bad that Liz has to say it live on Twitch.
Please, I'll end up losing my job, I'm sure, at some point because of something I say, so let's fast track that, I guess. So tonight we started with a men's tag title match, which I don't think that they at any point
I don't think
promoted this last week.
Was it for a title? I don't think it was.
It was for their it was for the men's NXT tag title. Or I could be making this up, but I'm almost positive. that was what tonight was.
Okay.
Let's pretend it was, because tonight was not that exciting, and adding another title match to it would be cool. We had Imperium versus Breezango, which Breezango decided to come out as Emporium. A fun play on Imperium's whole shtick. And you know what? I'm happy that we're starting to see more of them. I'm enjoying it already. We've seen them twice now, and I think the first time they were astronauts, and now they're just making fun of the other teams, which I think we need.
Yeah, I think they were known as like the fashion police of NXT, and it's awesome that they're finally back.
And I apparently can't talk tonight. They also had a really good match. They got a couple pretty good hits in. They used a lot of lovely little teamwork between the two of them. which was nice to see.
It's rare that the opening match is like one of my favorites of the day, and I think Fandango, or is it Fandango? Fandango?
I think it's Fandango.
Fandango. He made it so great because his like athleticism during the match was par none, or is it bar none? Par none? I don't know, but it was great. I'm
We're
trying
having a great talking night tonight.
I'm trying to use expressions that make what I'm saying sound a lot better than he was good, but it's not working because I have a public speech level of a fifth grader. So,
Can you speak better than a fifth grader? Our next podcast. But no, they got a lot of really nice hits in, and there were a couple moments where I kind of thought that they were gonna beat Imperium, and I was like, oh, okay, so we actually might see something flop over tonight. But we didn't, and pretty much this entire match summed up how I think the entire episode went, where like it was a good fight. We saw a lot out of Breezango, which I think one of the cool things seeing something out of Breezango is that their whole, like when they first came back before TakeOver, they were saying like, you know, we focused so much on the shtick that we didn't really focus on the moves and on being like actually good in the ring. And they were like, we're back now to like focus on both things at the same time and try to do better. And so to see them do well tonight was nice. But then it devolved because Indus Share came out, and then so did Lorcan and Birch.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost the plot entirely, and I kind of thought, okay, I'm going to get it back together for the next match. But the next match also helped me lose the plot more, and I was like, all right, this is it.
I don't think... I think they're kind of setting up for just a big competition for that men's tag team title. Because obviously Indus Share walked in wanting it. And then I think Lorcan and Birch defended Imperium from them. So I think that's the plot. Because I know Lorcan and Birch went in the ring and started like checking on people. I don't know if they were checking on Imperium or Breezango.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was one thing that I actually really liked was that there was one point where Tyler Breeze had Bartel.
Is it Bartel or Martel?
Bartel. It starts with a B. I know that much. Okay. So
it's Bartel.
Breeze had Bartel's legs, like basically his legs were in front of him, and Bartel was over, like his back was over Breeze's knees.
Yeah.
And Fandango had tagged in, so he jumps off the top rope onto him, and I was like, I think Bartel's dead. He made contact. Like he made contact with his chest, I think.
It was like, it was similar to the move that Indus Share did last week.
Yeah.
The whole neck snap move. Scary. Yeah. Breezango pulled it off a lot better. But also, is he okay? Like, that was the whole reason I didn't want Indus Share to do that move, was because can you do it safely?
I definitely think Bartel was okay. Because to be fair, Fandango was the one who did it, and Fandango versus one of the men from Indus Share, either of them, it doesn't matter. A fraction of a man.
Yeah.
So I think that helps to do the move a little better. But that was at least an exciting fight. Obviously, Imperium retained their tag titles, which it was a bit of a pipe dream, I think, for me personally to see someone evacuate their title tonight, but would have been kind of cool, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it would have been a weird day for a title to be lost.
See, we thought that on Monday, but it felt like we came very close to seeing a title get lost. So
whose title almost got lost? I forget.
Drew McIntyre.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Painful. So Eichner pins Fandango. Imperium win. And then we go into a promo that I knew was just going to make me annoyed in the first place, but it made me angry afterwards. And that was the Velveteen Dream promo, where Dream is talking to the announcer guy. I think his name is John something. I don't know.
Isn't it Tom Phillips?
Tom Phillips. Yep. I've lost my tab. Here I am. So Dream's talking to Phillips, and you just see Dexter Lumis behind the couch that Velveteen Dream is sitting on, gently put a drawing next to Velveteen Dream, and I was like, no, get away from him. You don't need him. And it's the two of them holding their titles together. And Dream's like, yeah, no, we're not going to be a partner team. Like, I roll on my own. I'm solo. I don't need him. And I was like,
that made me
that
so
is my
happy.
Boy.
That made me so happy. Because, like, I don't want Dexter to be with him. I want Dexter
to be with him, but, like, I don't want him to be rejected either.
But now we can watch Dexter Lumis beat up Velveteen Dream because, allegedly, Velveteen Dream is allegedly a pedophile. Had to throw in two there because, just in case.
It's allegedly Dream, and it's allegedly he's a pedophile.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it makes me happy that they're at least making it so I don't have to potentially see a tag team between the two of them, which I don't want to see, because Dexter Lumis is the love of my life. He's all of my heart. I love him so much. He's so scary.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, watching Velveteen Dream be like, no, I don't need him. I don't want him. Like, I work on my own. I was like,
and also the two of them,
deserve him.
Their two personalities don't really go together. It would be weird to see. Make sense. Yeah. And there was nothing about, like, the two of them that would have led up to a tag team. I mean, it does make sense for Dexter to think that, because what I'm seeing is that he kind of has the mind of a child. And he sees a little bit of, like, friendship from this guy, and kind of latches onto it.
I love.
Yeah, it adds a whole different dimension to Dexter Lumis's character.
Because he's terrifying, but, like, it seems like he's kind of, like, mentally a little stunted in a way.
Right, like, he's sort of underdeveloped.
Like Mice Men. Lenny.
Yeah, Lenny from.
Especially with the way he pet Rowdy's head when he was choking him out.
But except a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, kind of scary. Yeah, I'm glad that this probably means that we won't see them together, but I was like, kind of like, you should be thankful that Dexter Lumis doesn't want to kill you, because he wants to kill literally anyone that has a pulse. So, my personal opinion. Going on from that, though, because that was the one and only time that we saw Dexter Lumis tonight, and I think that's kind of what personally for me hurt tonight's episode, was I only saw him once. And I wanted to see him as many times as I could.
Oh, I mean,
I want 2 hours of Dexter Lumis.
The night would have also shifted if we saw Finn Balor fight, if we saw Undisputed Era fight, if we saw Keith Lee fight. Like, they're even Karrion Kross.
We saw nothing.
We didn't see nothing. I mean, the main event fight was pretty decent. Pretty decent. Nice.
But outside of that one, we didn't see anything else. Like, I think most times, like, I don't want to keep going back like last Monday, but, you know, Raw, we saw a lot of fights that were like, this is someone you like to see. This is someone you like to see fighting someone you like to see. We didn't get a lot of that tonight. Which was exciting for me personally, because of the realizations, was Damien Priest versus Killian Dane, which is kind of funny because it almost sounds kind of similar there. And one, we realized that Killian Dane is actually Nikki Cross's husband in real life, and two, for anyone that was not in my living room this past Saturday,
would have been really weird if it was anyone but me.
If Eldon's watching, oh no, Eldon wasn't even there, so
yeah.
So for anyone who wasn't in my living room on Saturday, I showed Mark a video that I watched when I stayed up from one day into the next because I don't sleep anymore, and you can tell by my deep under eye circles. I showed him a fight that I'd watched between Drew McIntyre and Aleister Black, who was Tommy End at the time, and he was Drew Galloway. And this massive hulking man comes and stands at the end of like the ramp, and then goes to like hang out with the announcers and talks for like with them for a little while the fight's happening. And I showed him because it was kind of funny. It was interesting. It was different to see it was an ICW fight, so it was kind of weird to see that. Turns out that was Killian Dane. And the moment he walked into the ring, I was like, and then I like looked it up and I was like, oh, okay. It all makes sense now. So that was kind of cool for me to see someone Damien Priest, though, looked horrible for the first half. He looked really unhappy.
I mean,
broken.
The whole fight just was not great. Damien Priest was not the same as when he fought Finn Balor. I mean, like, more than just, like, what he was pretending with his injuries. I'm sure it was just part of his character, but a lot of his moves were just unconvincing. Like, I've noticed this with some wrestlers, definitely not, like, main event guys, but, like, where they will be charging to do a move, like, from across the ring, and they will kind of slow themselves down, probably in fear of, like, making sure they do it right, which you rehearse enough, you'll be able to do it just fine, normal speed, but it makes it look a lot more fake and a lot more, a lot less believable, I guess.
But definitely, that makes sense to me. I kind of noticed what you were talking about while watching it. But one thing I do think kind of works to his advantage in a way is that I think a lot of his thing right now is that he's been defeated by Finn, and he's probably kind of got to like go through this whole like coming back up motion. So for him to pretend that he was injured the way he did, where I was kind of sitting there like, is he actually injured? We don't really know, because like he's kind of doing a Kevin Owens thing where like, I know that you injured that recently, and you're acting like it's still injured at the right times. It works for him, and I think that it only works for some people who know how to act it out right. Because like, you know, if anyone's ever injured something, a muscle, it doesn't hurt all the time. It's just like you go to do something, you're like, okay, all right, that's not the right move. So he definitely didn't look like the regular Damien Priest, but you did still see a couple glimmers of what he was before the Finn Balor fight, I think. And I liked that. I liked seeing something resembling him, at least. It wasn't the most spectacular fight in the world. We don't get to see Killian Dane very often. I think he's in... I feel like we've seen him somewhat recently, because again, we've only been watching NXT for like a month and a half now. I feel like we've seen him recently enough, but he didn't disappoint really. I think the one who kind of disappointed me a little more was Damien tonight.
Yeah, especially since we've seen him at a big event. We haven't seen Killian Dane at any big points, but I mean, you look at him just as an individual. At least from tonight, he just seems like one of those guys who most of what he does is just run into people and throw them a little bit. Nothing super impressive.
And when you're a big guy, I think that's like what they write for, really.
Yeah, but then you look at Otis, even Braun to an extent.
Well, to be fair, Braun's main thing is being the train, and he runs into people.
Right, but that's like his thing. That's his shtick. He's the what's the Strowman Express?
I don't know what it is. I can't remember, because I know that Otis told him to do it like Friday, and it's already...
I think it's a Strowman Express. I think that's what he has on his shirt. Um, but
Polar.
Keith Lee is better when it comes to being the big guy. He does more than just throw people around.
And there's a lot more flourish to his drops, to his like different moves.
Right.
I just think that they have trouble writing. I think they have trouble writing for bigger men and bigger women. I think that they really relish the idea of writing for someone shaped like Drew McIntyre or Finn Balor or even Sheamus, stuff like that. I think they have a little more fun writing for them as opposed to people with more mass.
But I think when it comes to like the wrestling moves and the techniques, I think that's less on the wrestler or less on WWE and more so on the wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Because their stuff, like their persona and their fighting style is how they get into WWE. Normally they have to have all that stuff kind of worked out before coming in, and then maybe WWE will be like, okay, give us like a finishing move, something like that, or change so and so up. This is just me spitballing, based on.
We have no clue how this works.
Yeah, I've watched fighting with my family. I've read up on WWE a little bit, and watched a lot of Glow, so I pretend like I'm an expert.
Drew Gulak said that it's not entirely like that in WWE, so...
He said the culture is correct.
Fair. Fair. One thing that I thought was really cool that Priest did, actually, which I don't really know if you can do with a bad back, so... But at one point, Killian Dane had him in his arms, and Priest managed to flip himself over in his arms to drop Dane. And I watched him do that, and I was like, oh my god, wow, like... You're just kind of, like, yeeting yourself over in someone's hands.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool, and that was actually what eventually led to him pinning Dane and winning. I think I found the fight interesting only because I was like, oh, I mean, obviously I recognize Priest,
Mm-hmm.
but also there's Killian Dane, and now I know who he is. So that was kind of cool for me. I act like I just like saw him at the supermarket last week or something, but I just saw a YouTube video, and now I've made the connection. So.
I feel like that was the fight that kind of, I mean, besides the main event, it had the highest expectations just because we've seen Damien Priest. We've seen how good he is.
And I don't mind seeing a climb back to the top kind of story for him. I don't mind seeing that for a lot of people who probably deserve it right now. Cough, cough, hint, hint, Charlotte Flair. And who also could work with it really well, because I, again, don't think that Charlotte Flair would do horribly with that. And I think it only works for people who have, like, such a big ego, like Damien Priest has. So I think to be able to see him kind of have, like, I've got to work back through all my demons and become the new Damien Priest who's scarier and bigger, I think that'd be really cool.
Right. And that's fine on its own, but what I found disappointing was just his overall performance. And like his believability when it came to
there was one weird
moves.
move that I made fun of because I called it a do-si-do because Priest was like in this corner here, Killian was here, Priest ran at him, Priest like spun him towards the opposite corner down here, and then kind of like waited for him to hurt. And I was like, guys, let's not do it at half speed. Let's each other now. That just looks weird.
The last part of that got cut out.
I just said that it looks like they're dancing around each other, and it looks weird when they're when like it's kind of like at half speed, like that was, because that was very obvious. And there were a couple moments like that tonight, but like that was just one of those. It wasn't even an unfortunate camera angle, like, oh, the camera accidentally caught like so and so like waiting for this hit or something. It was just bad.
Yeah.
But after that, and I think this is actually kind of where it started falling apart a little bit. I'm gonna go like out of order by like one bullet here. No, I'm not actually, because that leads into the next thing. Sorry. Anyways, I'm like reading ahead as I like try to talk, and I don't have my glasses on, so I'm like. So we had the Santos Escobar promo, which was really quick, really short. just him saying he's going against his family's entire history. And I was like, wow, that's really bold because your family has a really long history of wrestling. And all of a sudden you're just dropping it. Point blank, you're just done. But after that promo, we go straight into Killian is walking off the stage. Or like, this happened during the commercial break. Killian smacks the plexiglass out of anger because he's just been beaten by Priest. And we get Robert Stone looking like me on my 21st birthday, just like against the plexiglass. I love the poor man, but he smacks the plexiglass and Robert Stone's just like gone.
Oh, Robert Stone.
Which led us into our next fight, which was Xia Li versus Aaliyah. Or Aliyah. I probably should take notes on how to pronounce that,
I think
too.
It's Aaliyah. I think they're pronouncing it Aaliyah.
I think it's Aaliyah. But it was Xia Li versus Aaliyah, which we have decided is how we pronounce that. And, Aaliyah kind of annoys me. But also I kind of enjoy watching her now. I'm starting to get around to it. And she goes up to... Robert Stone is now on the other side, by the wall across from the plexiglass that he was leaning on originally. Just slumped. And she's like, you gotta come here. You gotta come with me. You're my manager. She drags him to the ring. She's like, okay, you're good now. You're good. Just stay here. And I just love him. That's one of the best characters I think they've written in a while. He's so broken.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a unique manager.
He is definitely no, what's that guy's name? Why am I forgetting it?
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman. He's no Paul Heyman, that's for sure. He's the antithesis of Paul Heyman.
I was definitely I was really impressed with Xia Li, actually. I thought she was awesome. I think she could go, and I don't mean this to sound stereotypical or racist in any way, but I think she could incorporate a lot more martial arts into her fighting style, especially since she embraces the whole traditional Chinese style in her aesthetic. I think she can go even further with her fighting style.
I mean, that, of course, obviously we did not research every single person that was on tonight. That goes into when she started learning wrestling, where she started learning it, and why.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what that is per se for her. So I know that Aleister Black, he trained in martial arts for a while. So I don't know what Xia Li trained in.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think you have a point where it's if she's going with that persona, I guess.
She also maintains kind of a stance that is used a lot in martial arts, and then she just does a lot of traditional wrestling moves, which that's great. But I think she should pick one or the other, or do a mix. If she does a mix, that's fine. But right now she's just she's just kind of flip-flopping right now, though.
And also, this is one of our first times seeing her.
True.
For us. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Again, we did not research her. I don't know when she started in NXT. But I did also think that Aaliyah did some really cool stuff tonight. I think she got some really good hits. And considering the fact that, a lot of her matches sort of recently have kind of been, oh my God, my Do Not Disturb is not off. That was terrifying. My ears. But she has had a lot of matches recently where it feels like she wasn't all there. Obviously, she was not meant to win the match, and she just kind of looked weak, I guess. And that's kind of why Robert Stone's depressed, because that's the only person he's managing. But she had a lot of really good moves tonight. I didn't expect her to win. She didn't win, but I didn't expect her to, and she still kind of got close enough in my eyes to potentially winning with several kicks to the face that looked, one, powerful, and two, they connected, and there was no it didn't seem very cheap. Did I messed up. She did win tonight. I'm a fool. This is how much I remember about tonight's episode, because nothing stuck in my head.
She won, and then Robert Stone fell off the apron.
But how did she win, some might ask? Did she toss Xia Li over her shoulders? Did she screw up one of Xia Li's moves and like I don't know, did she choke her out? No. Robert Stone puked in the middle of the ring, scaring Xia Li, who was like, I'm not getting near that, and Aaliyah pinned her. And then Robert Stone fell off the apron.
That was great. I loved that.
My boy. I really want Aaliyah to do well now because I think if she starts doing well, Robert Stone also does well.
Mm-hmm.
But I just this feels like their like sequel to Sheamus getting pee thrown in his face. They were like, you know what? What's almost as bad as pee? Robert Stone puking in the middle of the ring. Perfect. Write that down, send it out. That is June 16th script. I think it's June 16th. But I am happy that she won at least. I think she needed a win, and I think that she got some ear interference that didn't annoy me.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully Robert Stone just pulls it together. Hopefully Aaliyah helps him pull it together. We'll see. After that match, we got Timothy Thatcher and his submission training school, which I have two notes, and it's just, where is this going, and do you think he misses his teeth? Because I don't know. I have no clue where this is headed. I did learn a couple of submission moves from him, which I'm thankful for because I want to try them out. Kind of want to pull someone's head behind like their arms, like the way he did, or however he did it. It was weird. I just don't know where this is headed, and I don't know why it's happening.
I think it's gonna result in him leading like a posse of like sort of mixed martial arts style fighters, or because a lot of that was just him getting really pissed off and just hurting them way too much. Maybe he's just getting super angry as a result of losing to Matt. Did he lose to Matt Riddle, or did he beat Matt Riddle, right?
Yeah, because Matt Riddle got like a little too cocky, I think.
Right.
But he also lost his teeth, so maybe that's what made him angry.
Yeah. I think the more likely is he's leading a posse of like mixed martial arts fighters, which would be awesome. Maybe we could see Timothy Thatcher in like some manager type role.
He could have like a whole stable, like how like Triple H led the whole thing where it was like when he was trying to build NXT up as like its own brand and not just like the training school for like Raw and SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're gonna get that. Maybe he's gonna be like the next Triple H.
I don't think so.
Can I have one dream? Can I have one dream in this life?
I want to see, and this wouldn't make sense with the storylines at all, but I want to see him and his posse of MMA fighters versus Escobar and his posse of luchadors, or unmasked luchadors now.
Yeah, that broke my heart. Yeah, I mean, I want to see Timothy get back into the ring, but I'm wondering if maybe this is like a convenient way for them to be like, here, Timothy, enjoy some time off, while also providing something for the brand. Because obviously what he's doing requires fewer people near him during this pandemic, and fewer filming hours. So, and also probably a lot less training, like for an actual fight. So I'm wondering if maybe that's like kind of like a little convenient like setup they have right now. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people who took time off for the pandemic, and have refused to fight, like the Kyle from Undisputed Era. And I'm sure there's people who are also like, hey, it's June. I haven't been able to take my time off yet, and I want to. Please? And you know, everyone's like, well, we are already missing like these major names for our brand, so you can't. I'm sorry. So I think this is kind of like a convenient way for them to not have him fighting. Also, maybe while they try to pull up someone who can fight him realistically, like without it being kind of a silly match, it could be Karrion Kross.
Karrion Kross, yeah.
I could see that happening. That'd be really cool.
Maybe Tommaso.
Yeah, Tommaso definitely. Tommaso has like, look at all this. Tommaso definitely has like the technical style, the submission style that Timothy has, and I think that would be a really cool fight. I just love watching very technical wrestling, and I miss it so much because we haven't seen Drew in a while, and Daniel Bryan's broken, so that's my thoughts. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. But now that we've milked that 15-second segment.
I know, I think we talked longer than it was on.
Yeah.
But then we... This is my favorite thing that's ever happened. Roddy's therapy session.
Oh, poor Roddy.
I feel so bad for Roddy. He's so upset.
He's been through a lot. He has a psychopath chasing after him.
And the thing is that I know that like Undisputed Era is supposed to sort of kind of ish maybe be a heel more or less because they're like super cocky. But they're palship, their broship, if you will.
Friendship.
Their brolationship, if you will.
Brolationship. That's a new one.
Their brolationship is so endearing. The fact that like Adam and what's his name? There's Roddy. There's Roderick. Roderick's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Isn't one of their names like Oshiri or something?
How have I already forgotten this? Because I wrote it down, but I don't want to scroll. I'm already gonna make myself lag enough. So
you could just have me
Bobby.
do it.
Bobby Fish.
Bobby Fish. That's it.
You're mixing up Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish.
Oh, okay.
But Adam and Bobby just sitting in a limo to take him to therapy. By the way, didn't really think about that in the moment. That was weird.
Was it a limo or an Uber?
It felt like a limo because Adam was facing this way and Bobby was facing this way, and most Ubers I know don't have wraparound seating.
True.
Unless like it was a van and it was weirdly set up, but that's my opinion. They're so hyped up to bring him to therapy. They're like, this is gonna make him better. This is gonna be great. And then they get him there, and it's just poor Roddy. Poor Roddy. He's a mess. He's not gonna get over this. When he looks at the first Rorschach picture, he's like, big muscles. That reminds me of big muscles. And Adam's like, just like you. And I was like.
And then when he goes to face the trunk, and he runs away. I really wanted him to stop at that stop sign.
He ran the whole time. He did not give up. He set a pace and he went with it.
I want him, because they'll probably like cut to, in next week's NXT, they'll probably cut to where he's at right now. And I want him to just like run into Dexter Lumis.
I just want Dexter Lumis to be like, you know what? Velveteen Dream hurt my feelings. So
taking it out on Roddy.
I was gonna say that maybe like he'd be like, well, you guys are the ones that he was mean to, so I'm gonna team up with you because the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
No, it's Dexter Lumis we're talking about. He's gonna be like, I'm mad, I'm gonna punch people.
He's like, I'm mad, where's Roddy?
Yeah. I want Roddy to be like his punching bag. Take out all of his like angers on Roddy.
And the best thing is that they chose the best person for that because Adam Cole's like kind of like he's the head honcho there, like he's the cockiest as it can come.
But he's like supportive.
But he's supportive, and Bobby definitely I cannot see him being intimidated. Roddy is the only one that's left right now because Kyle's out. Roddy's the only one I can see being like scared of him, like actually like internally terrified of him. So that was like. In spite of an entire episode of me being like, who cares? That was absolutely hilarious. And then after the commercials, because we still have not watched it on the WWE network that we pay for, because I don't know why. We still sit through commercials. We had Adam interviewed.
I think they do still have commercials on the WWE network.
We wouldn't know because we
No,
still haven't watched.
during Backlash they had commercials. They had some.
Well, I do want to try to test it out. And I'm gonna maybe kind of speak this into the universe now. On Friday, I want to test this out.
Okay.
Because I do want to know, like, I don't know why they would be pretending if we know this is not filmed live. Like, if we know that we are not actually watching a live image, I don't know why they would pretend to be like, well, this is what happened during the commercial break. If they weren't like, this is what happened during the commercial break on our taping that we had to cover part of with commercial breaks because you're watching it on a network television station. So that's why I want to test it out. I think that might have something to do with it. I think it just be limited, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
Because they get money from it being on Fox. So they probably have to put less on like the actual app that you pay for.
Or they would just be greedy and advertise their own stuff.
Well, we'll see. We'll see on Friday.
Okay.
I'm wagging my finger. That's how I'm putting it in the universe. Anyways.
We are approaching an hour right now. We're 48 minutes in right now.
An episode.
Let's try and bang through all of these non-fights.
To be fair, there's a lot of non-fights. So
yeah.
Gosh, how did this happen? I need like a little timer at the bottom. Sorry, I'm gonna stop with this stuff. So we had Adam Cole interviewed. Keith Lee comes up behind him, which Mark was like, "Oh, that's Keith Lee in the background." I was like, then I see him turn around. I was like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna see more of him." So Keith Lee comes up, and Adam was being interviewed about the hourglass that Karrion Kross left out for him last week, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not scared of Karrion. It's fine, no big deal." Keith comes up, talks to him, and then smashes the hourglass. Which I was like, that's maybe not a good move for you, Mr. Keith Lee. Because I know Karrion Kross wasn't there, but like the writers were, so jinkies, brother. And then after that we had Adam Cole come out, do his whole song and dance, which I never get tired of.
This is probably the biggest promo / announcement of the night.
Yeah. We had the lovely little boom that he does, and I love it. It makes my heart pump. He called Karrion Kross Killian at one point, and then Keith comes out, and Keith is like, Keith didn't say anything, I don't think, before Johnny came out. Like, it was his music.
No,
he comes out, and then Johnny came out.
They were talking a little bit.
Was it lad bantering or?
Wasn't it Adam Cole saying that he wanted the U.S. championship to add to his belt?
It may have been. All I know. Let me make this concise. Keith came out. Johnny Gargano comes out. Which, someone from the crowd shouted, "You ruin everything, Johnny," and I died on the floor. And then
that was his wife shouting that.
she's still Weekend at Bernie's over there. And then Finn Balor comes out, and it's a whole thing where like it's kind of like a weird conversational peeing contest, if you will. And basically Keith wants Adam's title. Johnny wants both of their titles. Well, no, Johnny wants Keith's title.
Yeah, that's mainly what he wanted.
So Johnny wants Keith's title. Keith wants Adam's title. Finn wants both of their titles. Karrion Kross was conspicuously absent from this conversation.
And then Adam wants Keith's title.
Yeah, and Adam wants Keith's title. So ultimately, our lovely British casting director for NXT, whose name consistently evades us, finally announces that next week at NXT. Keith is going to face Johnny and Finn during a triple threat match for his title. And then whoever wins that match on July 8th will face Adam for his title. So we could be seeing a Becky 2 belts at the end of July 8th, but I don't really see that happening.
We definitely will, because they said it's winner take all.
More so, what I mean is,
yeah, so somebody's gonna have both belts at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. There's not a big part of me that sees, at least for next week's match, I don't see anyone beating Keith outside of Finn, maybe. Johnny could, because Johnny knows Keith's weaknesses, but outside of that.
You see, they don't need to beat Keith. Finn could just pin Johnny.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that.
And then I could see Finn beating Adam, and we'll talk about this more during another promo, but Karrion is the part of the equation that's not factored in right now.
Yes, he's got to be.
I think he's gonna beat all of them. Somehow, he's not announced for the fight at all, but I think he's gonna come in, either take someone's spot, or be a fourth man, beat all of them, because they wouldn't have the whole lead up with the hourglass and the promo we just had of Keith Lee smashing it if he wasn't going to play a huge part in the story.
Yeah, I definitely can't see Karrion not coming out at some point, unless he's like waiting in the wings to challenge whoever has both the belts after July 8th, which remains to be seen. I did appreciate Johnny coming out, and the first thing he says is, "Wow, what a cool moment between the two of you."
I love Johnny Gargano. He's so awful.
Horrible. He's horrible, but he's amazing.
Yeah.
And after that promo, we had Keith backstage. Candice LeRae comes up to talk to him, and then Mia Yim attacks her from behind, throwing bins at her, and I've had a plastic bin fall on me before, even if it's empty. There's usually sharp edges. That didn't look fun, but there is a ref in every room, so it didn't matter. The refs broke it up.
What was that fight even about?
Well, Keith, remember he made a sexual implication.
Oh, right.
Candice, which personally I didn't appreciate, because she might be a character, but I don't care for sexual implications about other men's wives in a character form. Just feels a little creepy and a little uncomfy and a little bit like you're using a female character just for a rise out of a man. But that's also just another thing. But yeah, so that's why Candice was like, "Hey, you can't say that about me," and then Mia Yim was like, "But I'll beat you up." I don't know why they're still carrying on that fight. That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Candice was really just defending her honor at that point. And that was the only time we saw Candice tonight, too. So I think Candice is getting a night off, which is something I wish the people from Raw would learn with their wrestlers, but I guess we're never going to get that.
But then it's not Raw.
It could be Raw. We just don't need to see Drew McIntyre every night. He's going to get injured and die. Or I'm going to have a heart attack. So, then saw, right? I'm not skipping in. No. Then we got to see Kaden Carter versus Dakota Kai in response to last week's match, where it was Dakota Kai versus Casey Catanzaro, who I love. Dakota defeated her, and then Kaden came out, kind of like defended Casey's honor essentially, and both Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai beat both of them up. So this was kind of like a response match. And Kaden Carter, as much as I can't stand those contacts, she had some moves tonight. Oh my God. She went in there.
She was great. This fight was actually kind of cool. I just wish Dakota Kai would get a little better. She just needs to work on like her punches and her reactions and all that.
Yeah.
Dakota ended up winning.
Yes.
Hmm.
It really looked like Kaden for a while there. Kaden eventually, she did like a lot of stuff tonight. She drop kicked Kai. She at one point was being intimidated by Raquel Gonzalez for like a distraction, but managed to get rid of her and still like do a pseudo Glasgow kiss to Kai. And frankly, one thing that we've been seeing a little more often recently that excites me is we've been seeing wrestlers who are being distracted by other people during tag matches or during matches where they're like two friends or whatever are standing off to the side, and those people being able to defend against both of them, which I'm enjoying. But eventually, at one point or another, Dakota got the upper hand, and Kaden tapped out because Kai like had like her back.
Yeah. So. Not much to talk about with this fight. It was cool. Nothing real interesting though.
Yeah. It kind of sucks because like when we saw that first promo before Takeover, when I think Dakota and Raquel, they were doing the tag match during Takeover. It was exciting at first because like I thought that they looked really cool. I thought that like, oh, they're a tag team with a story. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to see that very often, or not very often, but like at least like I felt like, oh, okay, I kind of see where you're coming from, and I can support when I see where you're coming from. It felt like that was such a tease going into what we've seen recently from them, where it's just like, I don't know, guys, you guys just seem kind of mean. Like, yeah. Not even mean with a reason. It's just, I know that, like, I think it's Dakota and Tegan had, like, a past, but, like, tonight's match wasn't even against Tegan. Tonight's match was against Kaden. So, like, why are you being mean to Kaden? Why were you being mean to Casey, which is what spurred this whole thing? It doesn't...
Anyway, let's move on to the next event.
Scarlett then discovers the broken timepiece, and I guess so does Karrion Kross's boot, because I think that's what we saw.
And that's probably what's going to lead into Karrion joining in this triple threat, or joining in or making the one-on-one a triple threat.
Hope so. I love him.
I feel like me. Yeah, I feel like either way, on July 8th, it's going to be Adam Cole versus either Finn Balor or Karrion Kross. As far as storylines go, it would make more sense for Karrion Kross.
All right.
What was that face? Are you not in agreement with that? Do you think he's not going to fight Karrion? Do you think Johnny's going to beat Karrion?
Okay, well, if that happens, that'll be... That's like when our cat beats me, which happens every day, but I guess maybe I shouldn't be shocked then. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like if Karrion's going to come out, it wouldn't be until the Adam Cole match where he tries to defeat whoever Adam Cole is fighting and Adam Cole at the same time. Only because I feel like... I don't know. You've made wilder predictions before, so I could be wrong.
I feel like they could make some sick promos of Adam Cole kind of watching the fight from a TV, and he sees Karrion Kross come in and gets terrified. And then you have that whole lead up where he is afraid of getting murdered. He's afraid of Karrion Kross. Roddy's afraid of Dexter Lumis. And then Bobby's afraid of his inner demons. So everyone's afraid of something.
Imagine like a weird tag team between Karrion and Dexter, and it's just Team Crazy Eyes. I would love that.
Me
and
too.
Scarlett's just like there on the sideline, like, I love my boys. And speaking of Karrion, Karrion comes up into play in this next match, which was exactly what I thought it would be. Bronson Reed, who is NXT's response to Otis, more or less. He's a massive person. His title is Thick Boy. He's a big guy. versus Leon Ruff, who probably has the same body proportions as I do, with little twigs for
He
arms.
he gets his ass kicked in every time he comes up.
Um, my dude is professional enhancement talent at this point.
Yeah.
Um, if you look up enhancement talent in Wikipedia, it's probably his face.
Professional crash dummy.
And Bronson immediately flags the poor thing.
Yeah.
It was just right off the bat. And one of our first introductions to Bronson and one of our first introductions to Karrion, because of when we started watching, was Karrion Kross fighting Bronson and by some lord beating Bronson. Still don't know. In my head, I'm trying to do the math. It doesn't make sense to me. But Bronson decides that he wants a rematch. So next week, and this actually may go right against your prediction if you're in the three-man or the three-way match next week. Karrion is supposed to be now fighting Bronson Reed next NXT.
Well, I wouldn't say supposed to be. Because Karrion never responded. He could just completely ignore him and just say,
True.
I don't know who you are. I'm going to join in this triple threat. Stay away from me.
To be fair, he could also just come up to the triple threat and just try to intimidate somebody, Dexter Lumis style, which wouldn't be crazy.
Or Bronson Reed joins in also, and it's now a 5-man match.
You know what? Maybe. Who's to say?
And then Bronson wins by pinning Johnny Gargano, and then Bronson goes up against Adam Cole and flattens him just like he did Leon Ruff. We're going to have another prediction like the Viking Prophets.
They're literally fighting next Monday for the title.
Yeah.
The prediction only went so far.
But that was my prediction, was that night. That was Backlash. I wasn't predicting for next week.
What's today's date? It's the 17th. I'm sorry. So you have 3 weeks to be correct about this. In the meantime, after Bronson Reed steamrolls Leon Ruff, we have Cameron Grimes has slashed Damien Priest's tires, which is a bold move for a man who just got punched in the jaw by Damien Priest.
Yeah.
That was wild. And then Santos Escobar comes out. And I'm missing his mask, first of all. I really miss that. But also the fact that he called himself the best lucha libre artist ever.
Rey Mysterio is rolling in his grave right now.
He's rolling his one eye.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Dre.
He's rolling onto the second roof.
He's rolling off the second roof onto the third roof.
Yeah.
But that was bold. That was a bold assumption right there. And the one person who defended him through everything until all this happened, until Santos turned on him, Drake Maverick, the man that I hated for one episode and started loving for every other episode that I watched him in. The sweet, spunky little fool of a man decides that he's going to take on all three of them. And he does somewhat successfully until Santos may have actually hurt him. Like, may have genuinely hurt him.
Yeah, I have a lot of problems with how that move went. 'Cause Santos Escobar was holding Drake Maverick, like, by his torso. Drake's legs were pointed out, and there was a table right in front, right below them. It looked like Santos was just going to drop Drake onto the table. That would have been the normal move. But for some stupid reason, Santos Escobar, while still holding Drake Maverick, takes a step onto the table, falls with it, and Drake Maverick's tailbone crashes right into the tile floor. They're not on the crash pads, they're not in the ring, they're out past the barrier on the tile. And why did he do that?
So I did just look it up. We still have not seen any articles about him being injured for real. There was a scene where they were actually taking him out to an ambulance, but since Triple H injured his tricep before Backlash was broadcast and we knew about it before then, I think he's fine.
You said Triple H.
I did. Wow. For the life of me, I am not like willing myself to say the Edge. But because we learned about Edge's tricep injury before Backlash was aired, I assumed we would have seen an article about Drake Maverick being injured. There's nothing, so I'm sure he might be fine, I guess. But like, it wasn't even got dropped on like the padded floors outside of the ring. It wasn't like that at all. It was he got dropped onto the floors that looked like my middle school cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
I would trip on all the time and bruise my knees. So to be dropped from a height onto a little tailbone when he is not a big man, he's about my height, and not like there's nothing padding that. He's a skinny little thing, and that looks like it hurts. And I'm really hoping he's okay because his contract was quite literally just extended 2 weeks ago.
Can I just I just looked up Drake Maverick on Google to see if I could find anything. Apparently he was on Impact Wrestling, where he went under the name Rockstar Spud.
Drew McIntyre still calls him Rockstar Spud.
That is probably the most fitting name I've ever seen from a wrestler. That just it's so funny.
It doesn't even like there's some titles where I'm like, oh, I kind of see where this came from, or I kind of see like what you're hinting at here. Rockstar Spud just kind of gone. I don't get it. I don't know why, but there was an interview where after he was, I don't know what that word was, after he was re-signed to NXT by Triple H while he cried in his arms like a little boy, and I loved it. But after he was re-signed to NXT, Drew McIntyre made a comment about how he didn't like. He thought that this was like still very much like a big thing for Drake Maverick. It was like going to be a great experience, and that he was like still had so much to show everyone, and he still calls him Spud. And I was like,
real quick, I'm getting some static on your mic. Can you just unplug and plug in your mic? See if that fixes it. Oh, and we've lost you. I can't hear you anymore. Go to your Google settings, to your Google Hangout settings, and put your mic back. See if that fixes it. Otherwise, I can do some lip reading. I can attempt to. What? Your lip was off camera, so I couldn't read it that time. Is the red light on? I'm not getting any sound. The red light's on. And when you go into Google Hangouts, in the little gear icon, do you see where it says mic input or output? Yes? Here, let me come in. We're gonna experience some technical difficulties right now, but I'll put on some music in the meantime for all of you.
for me. All night, I ride with you. I know you got my back, and you know I got you. So come up, come up, come up. Let's get physical. Lights out, follow the noise. Baby, keep on dancing like you ain't got a choice. So come up, come up, come on. Let's get physical. Adrenaline keeps on rushing in. Love the simulation we're dreaming in. Don't you agree? Don't you agree? I don't wanna live another life, 'cause this one's pretty nice.
External mic. I apologize, everybody, for this short technical difficulties. You have it on default external. Can't hear you. I hear you now. What was the problem? What was...
I muted myself. I must have clicked back to my window with the wrong button.
We're still getting the static, so that didn't fix anything.
I can't change the static, but I muted myself, and that's why you couldn't hear me. So let me try... Here, wait. Let me try... Because my default is Blue Snowball. Now, let me... I think I'm talking to my headphones now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm still getting static.
Okay, I can't change that. That's gotta
Okay.
be... That's not me.
I think that's the internet.
That's both my microphones. Yeah. I'm going back to the Blue Snowball.
Okay.
The internet holds up. Can't believe I muted myself. I'm probably gonna go cry. Anyways...
Well, now we have the main event match.
Women's title tag match, which we knew how it was going to end because we watched the promo for next Monday Night Raw. But it was Shotzi Blackheart versus Tegan Nox, or Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox versus Bayley and Sasha. And I just want one night where I don't have to see them. Just one. I asked for so little in this life. First of all, my one comment, which I probably shouldn't make because it's women's tag wrestling and I'm sure they get comments on what they wear all the time. Bayley constantly looks like she is like wearing a costume from a different person. Like it doesn't look like it should be hers.
She's worn that before.
Has she?
Yeah.
I feel like I've never seen it. I don't like it on her.
I've definitely seen her in that costume before.
Well, immediately we have a bit of a kerfuffle, so to speak, between the four girls. But honestly, I think tonight we watched a team that really had a chance at beating Bayley and Sasha despite their distraction tactics and stuff like that. Like Shotzi Blackheart, oh my gosh, she like came in there and like you and I both don't love her, but there were a couple moments where I was like, oh my god, they actually might win this for themselves. And then maybe I've been proven wrong by my own assumptions.
Yeah.
We got a lot of...
I was basically just going to reiterate what you said.
We haven't seen people that were able to take the two title holders, I guess. We haven't seen a lot of women that were able to take Bayley and Sasha on like that in a while, and Shotzi, of all people, I mean, Tegan did some stuff here and there. She definitely got like a couple hits in, but I mean, Shotzi was able to like... She made Sasha Banks a puppet for a minute there. Like, she kicked her in the face and she just fell flat. And that was more than I think we've ever seen anyone do to that duo in a while.
Yeah, I genuinely thought we were gonna see them lose the title, which would have been shocking with Monday's build fight. But Tegan Knox is always like, she's okay. Shotzi, I was pretty impressed by this time actually. Like you were saying, but Sasha's always awesome. She always does an amazing job. Bailey's always Bailey. But as far as like the overall match, it wasn't super noteworthy, other than like Tegan and Shotzi getting close, probably closer than any NXT wrestler would have gotten. Definitely closer than, actually, Bailey and Nikki have gotten pretty close.
Alexa.
Did I say Bailey?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, Bailey and Nikki got close to taking away Alexa and Sasha's title.
You said Bailey again.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no, he's broken. One thing that I really enjoyed was that we got to see, and I don't want to say this as like something against the Iconics or Alexa and Nikki, because I love their teams and I love their characters as much as the Iconics annoy me. I can respect it. This was the first time that we've seen Bailey and Sasha up against two women that aren't. I know that, like, I guess Alexa and Nikki's like costumes aren't super like frilly and like lacy and stuff like that or anything like that, but like these were two like rough and tumble girls. Like that's kind of like what I felt when I was watching it. I didn't feel like it was very like girly in terms of how they were dressed, in a sense, I guess.
I know.
And I don't know.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't want to sound like sexist, but that's just how I was seeing it, I guess.
Shotzi and Tegan are more aggressive than Alexa, Nikki, Billy, and Peyton. Maybe not so much as Nikki, but even she's been less aggressive lately.
Yeah.
Like Shotzi especially was just going all out on Sasha and Bailey.
I was gonna say that Shotzi was able to, because one of the things that Bailey loves to do is Bailey gets up on the apron, or even Sasha will do this, but one of them will get up on the apron and like be like kind of yelling at whoever's fighting whoever. They yell at the opponent for a while, and he'll like, "Hey, get out of my face," blah, blah. And then have an opportunity to, pin that or something. But Bailey was doing that, and Shotzi just sent like. She managed to like kick her out or like punch her out so that she could deal with Sasha. And I was like, oh my god. Somebody's finally like putting an end to the like intimidation tactics that they love to do, or the distractions. But then that ended up screwing them because Shotzi had Sasha in a really strong pin. And then Bailey tried to come in with a chair like little Dexter Loomis might, except Dexter would have done it better. And when Tegan came to interfere, then the ref was like, "Oh, get out of here, guys! There's two girls over there pinning. I should probably get back to my job." And then it became Sasha.
But even
turning her over.
Even during that distraction, the ref just turned to Tegan and was like, "What are you doing? Get out of here!" As Bailey was still in the ring. Like,
because Tegan took the chair from Bailey, and all of a sudden he was like, "Get that chair out of this ring!" And I was like.
It's just so obvious that what the refs are doing with the wrestlers, like.
And it kind of sucks because like we've seen a lot of men's tag matches where like I've been complaining about interference a lot recently because we've been seeing it a lot more. I feel like, and sometimes I don't mind it as much if it doesn't interfere with like the final pin, I guess, like directly, but. We've still seen a lot more from, like, the Miz and Morrison versus Braun and Otis or something like that. Like, where it's like, you still get to see John Morrison do some really cool stuff. You still get to see a lot of technical moves. You still get to see a lot of like talent from people. And in the female wrestling, it's just like, it's all interference. It's all distraction. And I'm like, at least with Shotzi tonight, like we got to see something that we don't get to see a lot, which is moves, like genuine, bona fide moves. And I don't know. I'm tired of seeing the same old, oh, you know, Alexa has Peyton in a pin and Billy comes out of nowhere like blah blah blah. You know, I'm tired of that. I enjoyed seeing like real fighting up until the very end.
Yeah, it's taking away from the talent that the wrestlers have.
Exactly. And I know that they train a lot. I know that they're very hardworking people. So like to say that the final pin is literally based on Bayley interfering, it makes everything that I've seen Bayley achieve up to this point seem completely worthless. Like, just nothing's there. It's nothing.
That's the irony with her shtick being a role model.
Yeah. And I think for a minute there, she was actually genuinely building herself up so that, like, she, in the same way that Johnny Gargano was, like, this, like, us before them kind of person for a minute, and then became Johnny Gargano before everyone else. That's what we're seeing with Bayley, I think. It's like, you've just enjoyed this limelight for far too long, and I'm personally just so tired. I can't wait for them to lose the title, and I know it's probably not going to happen until at the very least Extreme Rules, but
we also got some comeuppance right after when Io Shirai entered.
Yes, and I did make one note about this because we shut our laptops and we're like, there's probably nothing else going to happen tonight. Let's go get right up, like, set up for the podcast. And then Io Shirai comes in. The acrobatics that girl is capable of is out of this world. She is so talented, and every time ever since TakeOver, and actually, honestly, anytime before then, but since we were first introduced to her, I'm like, it makes sense that she is the champion of NXT right now. It makes total sense.
Yeah. She just beat their asses. Was basically like,
all over the place.
Yeah, she was basically like, get out of NXT. You don't belong here.
It was very worth it. It was a very good, in spite of the fact that the outcome for the actual match itself was not thrilling. It was a little bit of icing on top of that cake. There was like a little glaze on the cake there, and it was Io Shirai.
Now, shall we move on to our fun segment?
Promo of the night.
Promo of the night.
Promo of the night. What's yours, Mark?
So, this one's tough. Because you got Velveteen Dream and Dexter Lumis. Because Dexter Lumis is great. Every time seeing him in a promo is awesome, especially with his nice little drawings. And
He's so good at drawings.
And it's leading up to a fight that I know I'm excited for. But then you also had the Undisputed Era promo, the Undisputed Therapy, which that was so good. That was so good. And
we're gonna find out at some point that was like the guy who plays the therapist is someone that we probably should know and we don't.
Yeah,
so.
He's probably like some veteran wrestler or like John Cena in a mask. So that was great. I don't know if we would consider the announcement of the triple threat for. Okay, yeah, I wasn't going to anyway. Timothy Thatcher promo was
My boy.
And then everything else was kind of forgettable. So I gotta go with the Adam Cole or the Undisputed Therapy as the promo of the night.
I have to agree with you. I just, because of the mix of like best friends being pals and helping their friend out and taking him to therapy. That alone was just so heartwarming to me, but also just watching Roddy run away into the ether.
Yeah.
That was more than worth the price of admission. I was so happy. Because they're kind of like I like that they're. I think normally like a stable like that would fall apart after that kind of like mental intimidation, but they haven't. They're really trying to pull it back together and try to stay strong in the event that they are needed in any other capacity in the future. So I really liked that, and I really do think that that's of being our promo of the night.
Yeah, definitely.
Our cat just came out from under the bed.
Gremlin.
Hello, ma'am. So now we go to our fighter of the night.
Yes. This one was a little hard. But right off the bat, Fandango kicked ass. He was
Nice.
awesome. Xia Li was my next pick because this is my first time seeing her, and she was pretty awesome in the ring. I think if she makes a couple adjustments to her fighting style, she could be even better. But I don't think she beats out Fandango. And then you have Kaden Carter, who surprised me. I think I think she was really, really good, especially when compared to Dakota Kai, who, in my opinion, needs a lot of improvement. But and
The
then
struggle.
there was nobody from that last fight that I thought was. Yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna pick Shotzi. My response to that is just we've seen her throw punches and do those fake ass punches when they know the opponent's gonna duck under it, so they just give a really poor swing. That really bothers me. She had some. She wasn't perfect, is what I'm saying. I gotta go with Fandango on this one as my fighter of the night. He was so fun to watch with his athleticism and that intro coming in, the Emporium. He was. I want to watch more of him because his fighting style and his persona are both excellent.
Would you say he was Fandango to watch?
Thanks for watching, everybody. Follow me on Twitter.
I have the cat. You can't be mean to me. Haha. I guess I've overlooked Fandango a little bit in my decisions because I was going to choose Shotzi. I still kind of want to choose Shotzi because I love her. I loved tonight especially. For someone who annoyed me a little bit going into my watching of this property of WWE. I enjoyed getting to see her do something that like I was like, oh wow, thank you, like a civil service, if you will, of defeating Bayley and Sasha. But at the same time, I guess when you make a point about Fandango, it does kind of make sense to me, especially when you consider the fact that they were gone for a little while and then they came back. Like, we don't want to just focus on our costumes, we also want to focus on our like abilities in the ring. Sorry, she's doing some very weird stuff. But I do think that getting to see the follow through on that announcement is really nice.
And also,
even if they didn't win.
Also look at how Fandango handled fighting both members of Imperium at the same time. That alone is really impressive. There was a wrestler recently who did that too, who fought two opponents at once. I can't remember who it was. The only one that comes to mind is Dominic Mysterio. But anyone who can
I'm trying to
fight,
think.
I can't remember what.
It was
whether
at Raw, I think.
It was from Raw.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyone who can do that is very impressive.
I'll take your argument on this one. I don't like to normally concede my side, but I will take your argument on this one. I will not take your argument on the fight of the night, because my fight of the night is 100% Shotzi and Tegan versus Bayley and Sasha, because I want Bayley and Sasha to lose their titles, and they came so almost satiatingly close to losing those titles tonight. Very convincing way, as opposed to any other times that they've ever come relatively close to losing their titles. And that is my fight of the night. Criticisms or questions?
Well, here's my thought process. I'm going to go fight by fight and sort of process verbally. Imperium versus Breezango. Yes, that fight was impressive to watch, but there wasn't really any lead up. And it was kind of ruined when Indus Sher and Lorcan and Birch showed up. You didn't even see the pin.
Yeah.
It was
confusing.
Yeah, it was really confusing, really lame. Damien Priest versus Killian Dane. That was a lame fight that kind of sprang out of nowhere. Which kind of seemed like an enhancement fight for Damien Priest. Xia Li versus Aaliyah. That was fun, especially when Robert Stone threw up on the ring.
My poor boy.
That I was considering to be my fight of the night because of the mix of comedy and wrestling. And there is a place for it to go. Also, we got to see Xia Li for the first time.
Personally, for the first time, in case anyone has seen her before.
Yeah,
Personally, our first time.
We got to see her.
As Mark might say, allegedly first time.
Kaden Carter versus Dakota Kai was all right. Wasn't super impressive to watch. And did not get so much from it. It just seemed like plain old wrestling. That was it. Branson Reed versus Leon Ruff did not happen. Shotzi and Tegan versus Sasha and Bayley. That was a really good fight, especially since we got to see Sasha and Bayley fight different opponents. Shotzi and Tegan were awesome. And it was actually probably the most exciting fight of the night because there was something on the line and it was close to the underdogs winning. So I'm torn between that and Xia Li versus Aaliyah. Mainly because of Robert Stone puking. I'm just so torn because I hate when fights are won because of a distraction. That's really annoying. But also Xia Li versus Aaliyah was won based on a distraction too. From Robert Stone puking.
Yeah, actually. That was the entire reason Aaliyah was allowed to pin Xia Li.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you just because Io Shirai comes in at the very end.
True. And Pete's also agrees with me, so...
Yeah, well, Pete's doesn't like to wrestle anybody, so...
Pete's also sleeps through every wrestling match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean... not just being able to watch Shotzi and Tegan come relatively close, in my opinion, to defeating Bayley and Sasha, but also the Io Shirai appearance at the end, which continues to evade my mind because I thought we were done at that point. Really, it was just so exciting. And you finally got to see some weak points in Bayley and Sasha that wouldn't have been overcome by a distraction if they hadn't like made the moves at the time. And I think that's exciting to see, like, these guys seem kind of like Goliaths in a weird way, like not in the same like Drew McIntyre sort of way where it's like no one can beat him, it seems, but like in the way where it's like no one can beat them because they fight dirty all the time, and
Yeah.
they were able to beat them with, one, not having to fight dirty, and two, being able to, for the most part, they weren't able to beat them, but they were able to get a leg up without cheating, and also at the same time without really being distracted or disrupted by their attempts, by Bayley and Sasha's attempts to cheat, which is something I don't think we've seen in any other match so far.
You know how you can beat Bayley and Sasha? And this is going out to the Iconics. Take note, okay? Peyton, I know you're listening. Get a second ref. 2 refs. 2 refs is how you do it. Or just get the female ref, because she's always on top of that.
First of all, yes. Second of all, what you need to do is have Drew McIntyre come out,
No?
fight Bobby Lashley for 5 seconds. No,
No.
hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay.
At Backlash, they needed like 4 referees to pull them off. So have that happen first. Then there's 4 referees already ready to watch the match. You have your match with Bayley and Sasha, do whatever you want to do. 4 referees have already been sitting there. They're like, we're not going backstage now, because why would we? Done. I'm Vince McMahon, and I'm here to sell you a wrestle.
All right, so we've got our promo fighter and fight of the night. Promo, we've got Adam Cole, or the Undisputed Therapy promo. Fighter, you've got Fandango. And then fight, you've got Shotzi, Blackheart, and Tegan Nox versus Sasha Banks and Bayley.
So that is basically everything we have to do for this current podcast, for the NXT podcast.
The NXT podcast. I thought this was the Pinfall podcast.
For this episode of the Pinfall Podcast, which is about NXT. I would say stay tuned. Stay tuned. It will not be back until Friday.
Stay on the stream. We'll be back in like 5 minutes. Just stay there. We'll be back.
I'll bring the cat in. She'll have some opinions too. Most of them will be put down.
You'll be able to watch us sleep.
It's a 24-hour podcast. I probably won't sleep. But this coming Friday, I haven't slept in so long. This Friday, though, we have our SmackDown version of the podcast. I guess that's what I should say. But we have a very exciting Firefly Fun House. Say that 5 times fast. Coming up, I guess. So that's going to be really exciting. I think we're going to have in the Sheamus didn't actually frame Jeff Hardy saga that's been happening.
But we will see.
Fingers crossed. Would you like to finish the promos, Marcus?
No. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
No. Follow us on Twitter. My Twitter at Mark Milkdud, and hers. Oh, I can never get the directions right. Eliza Elaine 23. Yeah, you got it. And the Pinfall Podcast Twitter. There's a hair in my mouth. The Pinfall Cast at the Pinfall Cast. Also, if you search the Pinfall Podcast, we might be like the 3rd choice that comes up. Click on that.
In case you're wondering, it's a picture of Mark smiling at the camera. Our icon is Mark smiling at the camera, and me looking up at him, not smiling at all, I don't think, and my eyes look very tired. So
It's black and white too.
Yeah. But it is the Pinfall Cast. I think the Pinfall Podcast was too long. Or there's one podcast from long ago that had it. So, and they never deleted their Twitter.
Yeah. And
so the Pinfall Cast.
And follow the stream.
Please. We make funny comments. Or, you can even follow our YouTube, which has a username that I don't remember.
It's the Pinfall Podcast, just like this. Yeah, so if you go there, you can check out the rest of the stream if you missed it. And you can check out past post shows, catch up on some WWE goodness. And yeah, that's basically it.
And on our Twitter, I make funny jokes about stuff.
She
So
tries
if you
to.
want funny jokes, if you want to see some funny jokes, I would say follow Twitter.
Some funny
Or my
attempts at
Twitter.
jokes.
I make funny attempts at jokes on both the Pinfall Podcast Twitter, called Pinfall Cast, or my Twitter. I make funny attempts at jokes on both of them. I also have this really annoying hair.
Good night, everybody.